What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Champion Living Podcast, where we believe that consistency, perseverance, and not taking life too seriously are the keys to success. I'm Doug, the founder and owner and head coach of Champion Living Fitness. Each week, I'll be joined by my coaching staff with the vision of providing trustworthy information about fitness, nutrition, and mindset, and how this all applies to being a professional rodeo athlete, as well as people from all walks of life. Are you ready to become a champion? Let's go. Phone hotspots are for.
Yeah, I was about to connect to that, and then I did connect to it, and then I saw it pop back up as available, and that's what.
Sometimes my phone hotspot works better.
Yeah, not mine.
Look at Logan. He's having to explain to the doctor's office why he's not coming. It didn't look like it went well. It looked like they were mad.
Were they super mad for sure.
Were they so mad, Logan? Yep, he's crying right now. For all of you that can't see the camera, actual tears.
Speaking of the doctor's
gangster.
office, I got weird with my collarbone.
Woo!
Nice.
Hell yeah, dude.
Full range of motion. I just can't lift over a certain amount of weight for
Dang,
at least 3
that's
weeks. But
The doc
full
said you
range
can
of
go get
motion.
on bulls right now, right?
Right now.
Yeah, no.
That's the best way to do it.
That's my favorite. Doctor said I'm cleared.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
What could go
Max
wrong?
out.
That means bulls right
I
now.
haven't used my arm in 6 weeks, but what could go
Hey,
wrong?
did you guys ever see those memes that was it's like just getting cleared from rehab from my knee injury, and it's like dupe rehab work button or max out button. It's always like max out. That's what I feel like
Yeah.
with rodeo athletes.
That's
Every
exactly
time.
what that's exactly what
Doctor
it's like.
said it's good. Let's see what it can do.
Yeah, I'm cleared. Let's go. For everyone listening, don't do that. Do what Tyler's doing. Do exactly what Tyler's doing. Tyler, what are you doing? Give us a rundown. Like, you just broke your collarbone. Super common injury in rodeo. Not even in just rough stock. A couple other events I've seen, and athletes have broken collarbones. What has your rehabilitation process look like?
Yeah, I mean, so for the last like at least 4 weeks, it's just been a lot of lower body movements and then working with anything like with my left arm because I broke my right arm or my right collarbone. So just trying to keep everything opposite of that injury to kind of keep it as safe as possible. Stayed in the sling for as much as I could just to keep preventing it from getting worse or from re-breaking it or causing any kind of damage. So just trying to stay away from that and then just being active every day, walking, doing leg days, essentially doing some core work. And then now I am been cleared for full mobility. And so just been trying to work on getting my arm back over my head, pressing over my head, and then slowly like implementing 2.5 pounds, 5 pounds. And then I've got a couple weeks before I can really start getting full strength back into that side. So yeah, just taking it day by day and just making it better.
Got an estimate on time from when the doctor says you're cleared, which is now, to when you think you'll be getting on a practice pool to test it out?
Probably the end of July. Probably
So
probably
4
another
weeks, 5 weeks.
4 weeks is probably when I'll
Yeah.
do it. I just want to make sure I've got enough time to get it at least close to as strong as it was before everything happened. Otherwise, you just risk re-breaking it again, or none of those muscles up there. Like I can feel it. That shoulder is not nearly as stable as it was before. So that's kind of one of the risks.
Remind me when the break happened.
It was May, like second week of May.
Like second week of May. So
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
I'm
really, you're like what 5
6
weeks
weeks
in now
out.
right now?
Yep.
6 weeks in, which is about right. And then another 4 to 5 weeks. So you're talking about 10 weeks is the total time frame for a broken collarbone, and you're going to come back and you're probably going to be, like you said, as strong in that arm, if not as strong, pretty close in 10 weeks. And I think that's huge just because you played it smart, you know. So now, mind you, the other thing too is that you don't have anything specifically. You're not on a tour that you've got to get back to. You also don't have it's not September and you're not 17th. You know, there's like you have a little bit of leeway, I feel like, in picking when you come back that some guys don't. But I think you've really been a poster boy for rehabbing this centerfold.
Centerfold.
Poster boy. Woo! Logan, you look, I don't know why, but every time I look up at you, you just look like this little old man in this chair.
Yeah, well, it's the shirt
It's a
probably.
short sleeve
It
pro
has
snap
to
for
be.
sure.
It's the short
Has to
sleeve.
be.
It's the shirt for sure.
I'm like I haven't seen you guys
I'm
in
not
a
even
couple
wearing pants right
weeks,
now.
but things have changed. Logan's aged about 20 years in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's exactly what I feel like this morning. I've been gone for a week and a half, and I feel like I've aged
Dude.
20 years. The last night was my average night's sleep for the last 2 weeks has been 4 hours and 55 minutes.
You
And
go.
so last night I
Ooh.
slept for
Get it.
7 years. No, last night I was asleep at I don't know 10:30 or something like that, and Lacey kicked me at 8. She was like, "Hey, you should get out of bed. You have a podcast in an hour." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So anyway,
Thank
best
you,
night's sleep I've
Lacey.
had in a minute.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be here.
Yeah, or else I wouldn't be here for sure.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of got, I mean, that was a full dose of what rodeo life is like right now. And I know you're no stranger to that. You've lived it, done it. But just that 4.5 hours of sleep is the average. Okay, so let's start. That's what everyone's going through right now that is rodeoing hard, that's on the road and doing this full time. So
Yep.
talk about stress, outside factors that cause stress. That is number one. Like not sleeping at all is going to be the biggest thing that we're fighting, right? And then on top of that, if you're not sleeping, that means you're really busy, so you're probably not eating enough throughout that. You're getting on animals, running, doing a run, 2 runs a day, whatever event you're in. And so we just have all this output and all this stress occurring. And so really right now, I've been getting lots of questions. What should I be doing? What are some workouts I can do? I'm like, dude, did you hear everything we just talked about? You don't need to do shit right now if you're not managing that. If you are not managing that stress, working out is not going to help. Mobility will help. Some kind of recovery movement or something like that will be great. But really, right now, we've got to figure out how to manage the stress in season. And it's going to take some intent. You've got to be purposeful about what you're doing here. You're going to have to plan for it because man, I hate to say it, we haven't really begun. This is just we just got in the first 2 weeks of this going hard, and all of a sudden I'm talking to guys and seeing it, they're just not managing their time well with what's going on, and that's okay. It's going to take some adjusting, but I don't think this is in our notes, but this is where we're going today. I want to jump into how we can better manage stress on the road, things we can do to implement in your daily schedule that will help you recover, and then we can start talking about it.
I feel like we just had an episode on this last week, didn't we? Did we not?
Did we
About
do this
managing
last week?
stress on the road? Just felt like I was like maybe I'm like
people need to listen to this show more often.
Yeah, we're gonna run it back.
No, and I need to remember what I actually talk about. Well, okay, short form then. Let's go through that, and then we'll talk about something else.
I think
it needs to be said again. Like I feel like we could say it a million times and it's not enough.
That's exactly right. Every episode could literally be the same thing, just worded different ways, especially this time of year, because like you said, these guys it's a really good point. I mean, I know what to look for in a gas station. I know what to look for at so just going through it, like nutrition, I know what to look for, and I do a really good job 99% of the time on making sure I get enough protein, not over consuming, unnecessary processed carbs and stuff like that. Even on the road, I'm pretty good about paying attention to what I'm eating. And I can tell you, by the time I was on my way home yesterday, I don't care. I don't care. I missed a flight. I've been in the airport for 9 hours. Give me the food. Give me the carbs. I don't care. I really don't care. One day, I probably had 60 grams of protein yesterday. Guess what? I'm still alive this morning. At that point in time, I was like, so I can understand just a little bit of when I'm having a conversation with a client about nutrition and they've missed flights or their crazy travel schedule. And I'm like, man, they're just not even trying. Now I know why. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like, but it's difficult to do no matter any time of year. It can be difficult to learn how to do, but especially in the summertime, when you're not rested and things are hectic. Even somebody like myself that knows better, I fell into that trap the last 10 days where it's just like, it's just kind of going to be what it'll be. I'm not really going to go out of my way, so.
Well, I mean, that goes along with something that we probably don't talk about with stress management enough is like we have an upper limit or a capacity of willpower, and like it tends to go down throughout the day. So the more things that happen, the more stress that you're involved in, that willpower falls and falls and falls and falls, and finally, by the end of the day, your willpower is down to about zero. So no matter how
Mm.
bad you think you want to make certain decisions, um, sometimes your state of mind is just it's almost impossible. I don't want to say it's completely impossible,
Mhm.
but it makes it really, really
Probably
hard
why I
to
bought a
stick to those
$200
things.
massage yesterday afternoon in the airport after I missed my
Guaranteed.
flight. Willpower was
Guaranteed.
gone. It's done.
Yeah.
Give it to me now. I got 4 hours to burn. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And we also make decisions that we would normally make when we're
Exactly.
burnt like that. And it just really brings it down to you've got to be aware of how you're feeling and what your body's telling you, right? You're going to be tired. That's being on the road. But, you know, Logan's meme is just coming up in my head where it's like recover well, beer garden and hot dogs. Beer garden and hot dogs. You know who's the boss. Yeah. But you gotta make those decisions to take care of yourself now so it pays off later. And I cannot reiterate that enough with everything when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to your movement, your mobility. Like you've got to be consistent with it. You've got to stay on top of it. And one day is not going to mess you up. 7 days in a row will mess you up. And it's, physically, maybe you won't lose strength in 7 days, but if you're eating poorly and recovering poorly for 7 days, you're going to feel the effects of that in your performance. And that's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 7 days of poor recovery can have effects for a little while, and 7 days of nutrition. Like we always talk about, don't stress about skipping a workout because we do have residual effects there. But like when it comes to nutrition, like if you go off the rails for 7 days,
Mhm.
like you can get into a pretty significant surplus in 7
Oh,
days.
quick,
You can
yeah.
do some
quick.
damage, or
Mhm.
the opposite. Like you can really drain yourself even further by not eating enough.
Yeah. And that's what I'm seeing mostly already is just not getting enough fuel in. And it's just taking them time to get into the routine. It's like getting in rodeo shape, getting in riding shape. You've got to get in the road shape for everything. You get used to making your meals on the road on the Blackstone. A bunch of my guys are carrying around Blackstones on the campers this year, which is sick. And it's so easy.
Yeah.
Hooks at Red Propane. It'll be you'll always have guys hanging around. So you'll always have a good hangout spot, but it's so easy. If you just take the time to go swing in the store and have ice in a little Yeti and boom, you're there and rocking and rolling, but it just takes preparing for it. Wyatt Denny is not one of our athletes anymore. I've worked with him for a while. He's a great great friend of ours, but he's always sharing how he's prepping his food on the road. So if you guys want to look at it, go look at his stuff. He does mostly carnivore, but it just shows you how he's prepping it. It just takes some preparation and some diligence in doing it, and it pays off in a big way. And that's a guy that's been rodeoing professionally for what 15 years probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, he's
he's
getting
our
old.
age.
He's not getting any
Yeah.
taller, but he's getting old.
No,
He's not growing
he
up.
ain't. That mustache is getting ranker though.
Yeah, it is getting ranker, that's for sure. I saw him for the first time. You know who else does a really good job of meal prepping, or at least the last time I was on the trail with him was Caleb. I
Caleb
like
always
opened
does a
Caleb's
great job.
fridge one time, and he had like
He just doesn't
12
share
Tupperwares
enough.
in there. No, he doesn't
I
share
wish he
enough, of
did.
course, but yeah, we need to like twist his arm into making a reel about the meal preps. But there really is. It just takes like the willpower, like Paul was talking about. It takes the forethought, but there's really no excuse. Like it can be done, and it's just as cheap in the long run to like do things the right way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you think about I went through not gonna lie, 3 nights in a row. I went through a Whataburger drive-through. I did do it.
Mhm.
It was like 11 to midnight, and I got a green chili double cheeseburger with fries and a drink, $16.
Dude, it's wild.
$16.
Yep.
$16. Like there's I mean, anyway, so we always talk about, well, you might spend a little bit more money. I don't know anymore. I mean, it's expensive to eat. Not only is it expensive financially to eat like crap, but it's expensive in the recovery. And you know what I'm saying?
the
Like
other
you can't afford not to eat cleaner when you're an athlete. You know, I mean,
Do you feel more hungry?
oh,
After
100%.
I don't feel as full near as long, and I could eat
no.
twice the amount of food,
Yeah.
right? And
Well,
so, like this
that's
weekend, I did the same thing, bro. I ate at McDonald's breakfast. I was on the roads going to bow shoots, going to see Devin and all those guys, and it was just convenient. It was what it was. I'm not gonna lie, I love the breakfast tacos there, but I'd eat it, and literally 20 minutes later, I'm hungry again. And if I eat the same breakfast tacos at home, it's like hours before I'm hungry.
yeah.
So
I just
I could just tell a
had a
huge
call with a
difference in that.
client yesterday. Same thing. They have drastically in the last 6 weeks drastically changed their nutrition, and we've been tracking their food. And he was having a double cheeseburger meal, you know, once a day, and then maybe like a cinnamon roll for breakfast, and that was what he was eating, you know, and then 3 or 4 sodas. And now he eats 3 meals a day. He's having yogurt and granola in the morning, Greek yogurt and granola. Like he's eating like whole foods. He's prepping foods. And he's like, I
So
was like,
full.
man, how are you feeling? And he's like, I'm just full all the time. And I was like, okay. He's like, do we need to like adjust the volume of the food that I'm eating, take it down? I was like, well, what's the scale saying? Like, how are your clothes fitting? He's like, I've lost 15 pounds. I'm like, we're not going to adjust anything just yet. We're just going to ride this
just
train
keep
for a while.
rolling.
So, but he's like, man, it's like a lot of food. And I'm like, yeah, it's not calorically dense though. You know, you're getting all the good nutrition, and you're getting half the calories that you were getting with 2 meals a day. So yeah, for sure. I definitely, you can eat way more of that stuff than you can real food.
It's hard to eat real food and get the numbers that you need. It is. And that's what we understand. That's why the road, you are going to have those times that you have to eat shitty, and it's going to happen, but you've just got to, you got to regulate, or what's the word I'm looking for? Manage the chaos, kind of, right? Just kind of roll with it. And you can go to those places and still order things that will not hurt you as bad, right? And it's boring as shit. Like I went and got on the way home, I was just so tired of eating crappy food. So I had to go through McDonald's. I was starving, but I got their chicken sandwiches and I just took the bread off of them, and I got a fruit cup. So I had 2 chicken sandwiches, 2 chicken breasts. They were fried, obviously, so probably a bunch of fat in there, but it was better than eating all the buns, eating all the dressing with it, and the fruit cup was just another little better carbs than the fries. So not the best, but it's fuel, and I was hungry, and you guys know how I get when I'm hungry, and it is not pretty. So this guy's got to eat.
You mentioned dressings, and that's something that guys need to look out for on the road too. Is like dressings are sneaky. You know, you go look at the
Sauces,
calorie
dressings, all that.
content on a lot of salads, like from Chick-fil-A or Wendy's or whatever.
Pull it up,
And a
Tyler.
lot
Pull
of
up
times
Chick-fil-A
those,
sauce.
yeah, the salads with when you add the dressing on, oftentimes, especially because they'll have like nuts and stuff in them too. A lot of times they'll have even more calories than like a burger and fries will.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 2 tablespoons of ranch, depending on the brand, right? 2 tablespoons of ranch is like 12 grams of fat right there. You know what I'm saying? Like
I think
and
the
that's
one
not,
in my fridge right now, because I looked last night, it had 140 calories for 2 tablespoons.
Yep.
And nobody's using 2 tablespoons of
Oh, no.
ranch. They're using
No.
at least 6.
At least 6.
Yeah.
I don't even measure that stuff anymore. I
No,
just
you measure with
drizzle
your
it
heart
down.
when it comes to ranch.
Measure it with your heart. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That is something to be aware of. All right, let's check this out. Once it pulls up,
140 calories, same.
those 13 grams of fat in
13
a
grams.
serving of Chick-fil-A sauce. And guys, girls, we're not shaming fats or anything. You just have to realize like what they make sauces and oils or dressings out of is olive oil, and or usually not olive oil, because that would be not a bad option, but it's usually sunflower oil, some kind of seed oil, canola oil, and it's just sneaky because a serving size of Chick-fil-A sauce is that little container, bro. Like it's nothing. That's not much.
It's not much at all. And I saw a reel that was like, it was like this person over here is like, you know, I eat pretty good and I don't eat a whole lot. And it was like they even went to Chick-fil-A, and it was like 1 Chick-fil-A sandwich, fries, drink, you know, and it was like 11 or 1200 calories. And then the same calories over here of like, it might have been an ad for Factor meals or something. The same amount of calories over here was like 3 prepped, like chicken and shrimp, or rice and vegetables. There was like 3 whole meals for the same amount of calories that you got out of the one Chick-fil-A meal thing. So just because like your perception too is like, well, I'm going to Chick-fil-A, I could be worse, I could be going to McDonald's. Like, absolutely you could. And there needs to be some freedom in your decisions. If one meal, a Chick-fil-A sandwich, throws you off your diet,
Chick-fil-A
you need a
better
new diet.
than McDonald's? Is it?
I don't,
No,
man,
not
I don't.
really.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Compare it, Tyler.
I
Let's
don't
see some
like
stuff
the
here.
I don't like the lack of chicken options at McDonald's. You know
I
what I'm
don't either.
saying?
I
Like,
agree. I
they
am
don't have
so bummed they took the grilled chicken away, because their grilled chicken sandwich was my favorite option for chicken sandwiches back in the day. Minus the fact that they just
here's a hack.
drenched it in mayo.
Yeah, they did just drench it in mayo. But a hack for Chick-fil-A is they make 30-piece grilled nuggets, and it's like 100 grams of protein. And it's like $20. Don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, you're gonna have to get out the wallet.
But 100 grams of protein.
It's 2 meals. And so when I was going over to SIU, I would have half of it before I went in the gym, and then I just saved the other half for on my way out. But 100 grams of protein, like, that's gonna carry me half the day. If I'm trying to get 150 to 180, 190 grams of protein for the day, I mean, that got me halfway there in one meal for $20, the 30-piece nuggets. The grilled nuggets option, I do like their grilled options.
Yeah. So, well, here's a little hack. Since we're talking about Chick-fil-A and all that, the one of the reasons that I knew this coming into this was a few weeks ago, we go to Chick-fil-A and we're looking at the menu, and the one of their chicken salad, or salads with grilled chicken or fried chicken, whatever it was on there, it was like 1,200 calories, and the fat content was like 50 plus grams, like insane. Like, that's like the total amount of fat you need for an entire day.
Over half. Yeah.
And so Heather broke down the menu, and she like opened it up and kind of looked at everything on the app. And so what we ended up doing was ordering the side salad, getting the 10-piece grilled nuggets, putting the nuggets on the salad, and then getting the fat-free honey mustard dressing to put on top. And so you got twice as much food, and it was like half the calories of just ordering the salad by itself.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's
a good hack.
That's a
right
move.
there.
But see, dude, that just takes some planning. You just have to plan and say and look into the options and make it work. You just can't be lazy. Can't be lazy for any of this. None of this shit's gonna work if you're lazy. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
It takes 2 seconds to Google. Like, you type in Chick-fil-A macros, and the first link or second link is gonna literally be a whole spreadsheet that will have protein, carbs, fat, calories for every menu item at Chick-fil-A. It's like it's pretty easy to look at.
Cakewalk. I wanted to talk about. We were talking about the comparison in the portions of food calorically from the fast food example to the factors that I want to bring up, because yes, calories matter in the end, but I don't really believe that all calories are equal, in the sense that if you're just hitting those caloric numbers that you need for your TDEE or to gain weight or to lose weight, that it's necessarily going to result in what you want the aesthetics to look like. And I have an example. I have a client right now. He's in probably late 20s, maybe almost 30 years old. Is a truck salesman, so sedentary a lot of the day, but team ropes a lot, is doing a lot of stuff when he's not working, riding horses and things like that. But we've been hammering on his nutrition, and in the beginning he just wasn't eating enough, right? So goal one was to get that caloric number up, to get him more consistent in his eating and his portion sizes. We've done that for 3 weeks. He saw changes for the first 2 weeks, not big changes, lost a couple of pounds each week. Third week, no change. Fourth week, I was like, okay, let's start looking at exactly what you're eating. He hasn't been measuring with the scale or anything either, just hands, just using his hand, just trying to build a healthy lifestyle habit for him. So we broke it down and started looking at everything that he was eating, calorically hitting the numbers perfectly. Macronutrient wise, we were out of whack big time. Yep, heavy on the carbs, heavy on the fats, really low on the protein. So I started explaining to him, hey, this food is perfect. We just need to change the amounts that we're eating per meal, right? We need to increase the meat, and we need to decrease some of these fats that we're having. And his biggest thing was the convenience of food. He's hitting stuff on the road, on the way into work, going to the, kolache shop or whatever, and, eating 2 of those, which
no, that's not the end of the world. But again, 2 kolaches is not helping us with anything. Like, you might as well ate 5 of them and gotten what we needed, some fuel, right? So we just started breaking it down, and now we're 3 weeks into that, and he's consistently losing 3 pounds a week now, and he's almost down to, around that number that he wants to be at. But in order for him, he wants to look good. And I'm like, okay, dude, like, we have to eat protein, because protein is what gives us the muscles. You can eat and work out as hard as you want, but if you're not eating enough protein throughout the day, or a balanced amount of macronutrients, you're gonna not see the results that you want necessarily.
Well, and I completely agree. That protein is so important, and that's the reason that the carnivore diet is so popular, right? Because it swings the pendulum so far the other way for most people. Most people don't eat anywhere near enough, and now all they're eating is protein, and so everybody's getting results. Well, we probably don't have to swing the pendulum quite that far to be completely carnivore, but by slowly increasing your protein intake, like we talked about earlier with my client and your client, they're going to be fuller longer, right? And they're going to start losing weight. They're eating less calories. But we can all agree that if you're supposed to eat 2,000 calories a day, 2,000 calories of Oreos and milk would produce much different results over 6 months than 2,000 calories of steak and potatoes. I mean, it's gonna have way different effects on your body, and that's why, like you said, what the content of those calories does matter for sure.
Absolutely. We should make a plan called carnivore focused, and it's, you have to eat all your protein in every meal first, and then you can eat the rest of your things.
It'll blow up too because it has carnivore in the name, so people are just going to go nuts.
Yep.
They'll just eat it up,
and it will work the same exact way.
Tyler,
it probably work better.
It'll probably be better, yeah. They'll get even better results.
Probably be better because they're actually getting carbohydrates, like healthy carbohydrates that they need.
I can't eat other food.
Oh, okay. Anyway, okay.
I'm gonna need Tyler to open up the trademark page and start working on that right now.
Carnivore.
Get that done before this releases.
ASAP. Yeah. Oh, good. That's awesome. But yeah, focus on your protein, guys, girls. When you're on the road, it's gonna be it's essential, and it's gonna be the hardest thing to get. So you've got to pay attention to where you're getting it from. Some quick examples: when you're going to the gas station, beef jerky is going to be great. They've got a lot of, it's not going to be the best prepped meat, but they usually have sliced meat, something like that, in the refrigerated section. They have sandwiches made. Again, just be aware of how much meat is actually in the sandwich. Protein drinks. You guys a fan of protein drinks on the road?
Yeah.
I mean,
when I'm on the road, for sure. Like, it's just absolutely. It's the easiest way to get in. Besides beef jerky, a protein shake is the next best thing.
Those
protein.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. I mean, keep.
So jerky gets expensive. It can get expensive. I buy a bag every time I go fishing. I do the steak bites. I don't like that tough dry jerky. I like it to be that it feels like juicy. I'm eating a steak.
You can actually get it down.
Yeah. And an ounce of it is 9 grams of protein. So if I eat a bag of that, there's 20 grams of protein there. Cool. That's great. I'm stoked with that. Those Core Powers are my favorite. Again, I do not drink Core Power every day. Like when at home on the road, like that should not be one of your everyday protein sources. On the road, hell yes. Use it, get it in. It's easy. They taste freaking phenomenal.
They got expensive now too. I mean,
did they?
Dude, it's insane.
I bought one the other day. It was like $5.80, and I was like,
they're over $5 usually. They're like by the time you get done with tax. But I keep one in my backpack at all times when I'm traveling and stuff, because I never know what the day's gonna bring. And if you got traveling partners, maybe you're not in control of when you're going to eat or where you're going to eat. Same thing for me. And so I've got one. I know that I've got it loaded. And for example, I'm glad I had it. The other day, I went to a Mexican restaurant with breakfast with the crew. At 9 o'clock, we had a performance at 2 p.m. We tore down afterwards, and the only other thing I was able to eat that day was a protein shake in between the performance and the teardown. That was it. Like, I mean, it was like no food throughout the day. We just didn't have a time to go eat. But if I hadn't had that with me, so I think it's handy. And I do think you mentioned like the sandwiches and stuff. If you need to look, it's going to require you reading a label. I was looking through at
and
a gas
knowing
station
what you're looking at on the label.
and knowing what you're looking at and looking. And one of the things that we're giving all the secrets away, but this is one of the things that I coach clients on is the protein to fat ratio. Look at the numbers of protein, look at the numbers of fat, and something can say high protein, and you flip it over and it's got 20 grams of fat and 12 grams of protein. Well, not really the most favorable thing. Our ceiling on a daily basis for protein is much higher than our ceiling should be for fat. So I look for stuff that's in the favor of protein, typically like a 1-to-2 ratio or more. And for example, I found it was like a ham or a turkey and cheddar sandwich or something, and it had 15 grams of protein. 15 grams of fat and 40 grams of protein. Bingo. That's
Mhm.
the winner right there.
Yeah,
Bingo.
they only need like maybe 8 or 9 grams of protein per serving to be able to put that high protein label on there.
Yeah.
So like if you look, you walk through the nut aisle, or like the nuts and the where the nuts and the chips and stuff are at the gas station, and like you'll see all these nut bags that nut bags that say
It wasn't
it to
me
yourself.
for once. It
You did it to
wasn't me
yourself.
for
We were
once.
gonna
Got
get
myself.
through that. We were gonna get through that.
We
without
were.
being
You
I
guys
even had.
didn't
I
even
even
make a
kept my
peep.
head.
Doug
I
wasn't
kept
even
my head
listening.
down. I know I was. I said,
Yeah, I
nope,
couldn't-
not going to
Yeah, I was
acknowledge
like,
that.
Dang it, I
That is
said that
nope.
word.
Hui has the best gear because it's tough, it's durable, it withstands the test of what we put it through, and that is why I am a big supporter of Hui brands. Guys, from hats, apparel, whatever you need, they've got you covered. They are the perfect blend of rodeo style and athletic performance. You can check them out at huibrands.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, is going to save you a little bit at checkout. Y'all, if you're having trouble sleeping or you've got really achy muscles, Power Pro CBD has teamed up with us to bring you their tinctures and their warming lotions. Guys, these have been a crucial part of my nightly routine. Y'all can check them out at PowerPro, PWRpro.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, to save you a good chunk at discount.
Couldn't do it.
All these snack bags containing nuts, and they will say high protein on them, but like you said, you flip them over and it's like 13 grams of fat and 6 grams of protein or 8 grams of protein, and it's like and your calories from fat are astronomically higher than the calories from protein, so it's
Over
really
double.
not as much of a win-win as you might initially think. Now, when we're talking about healthy snacks at a gas station, nuts are a good option, but don't count that as your protein for the day because it's not adequate.
Yeah.
How many times do you hear, I ate almonds, I got my protein in?
No, or
Like,
eggs.
bro, eggs, almonds. Well, like, yeah, it's just a misconception. And we're here to tell you that those are not bad foods. You're just, the belief that you have that there's more protein in them than there is false.
Mhm.
It's just not there.
Peanut butter is another one. People,
Peanut butter,
peanut
yeah.
butter.
peanut butter.
Yep.
Yeah. Look at the label
Yeah.
on a jar of peanut butter and
Yep.
tell me
Yeah.
if you got enough protein in.
Yep.
You didn't.
Yep. I've heard more times than I can count apples and peanut butter. Look, I had protein for a snack. I'm like, bro, you had carbs and fat for a snack. What are you talking about?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And again, that's one of my favorite snacks. It's not bad. You just got to realize what you're eating.
Not
You
bad.
just have to know
Yep.
that, yeah. Just realize what you're eating.
That's not going to be
important.
sufficient. You're going to have another game plan for getting your protein in throughout the day. That's not a high protein snack. It's a high fat snack, like you said. Carbs, and so making sure that you have. They're great. They're real food, and any kind of real food, apples, like any of that stuff, is going to be beneficial for your goals overall. As long as you've got a good game plan for getting if you had apples and peanut butter, and that's how you're going to get your protein, and you eat 150 grams of protein of peanut butter, you are going to have 325 grams of fat, meaning you're going to consume
sounds so good,
5,000
though.
calories today. You know what I'm saying? So that's the biggest thing, is like making sure that you've got a plan. One of the things that I use, I use once or twice a week is like tuna is great. Tuna has 0 fat, right? And it has, a bigger can is going to be close to 50 grams of protein right there. Chicken breasts, obviously steak, those kind of things. Eggs are fine, but again, eggs, like you guys said, 6 to 7 grams of protein, but 5 to 6 grams of fat per egg. So, I mean, it's a 1-to-1 ratio there. If we're talking about that ratio, it's not super favorable. You can't have 10 eggs for breakfast and be like, oh, I'm good on my protein. Probably not. You're good on your fat for the day. But
Yeah,
you got more
so you
room for your
could, but now
protein.
you can have no more fat throughout the day,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
you just don't realize that. And so pay attention to what you're eating, what is in what the macronutrients are. If you don't know, and that's your goal, you got to pay attention. And that goes the same for performance. If you want to have more energy, if you want to be more powerful, if you want to be more explosive, you have to fuel yourself to do so. Otherwise, it ain't going to work.
So I just selfishly, I looked up how much protein you would have to, or how much peanut butter you would have to eat to get about 150
Is it
grams.
a bathtub
and
full?
Logan, Logan's numbers that he just spit off the top of his head were actually exactly right. So if I put in 45 tablespoons of peanut butter is 162 grams of protein, 368 grams of fat, and 4,600 calories.
Well, here's the thing.
You've tried it.
I don't know if you
tried
guys
it,
No, I haven't tried it. I haven't tried it. But I do read labels, and I do have a faint idea of what I'm talking about sometimes. But
you were almost spot on there.
That was definitely a stab in the dark. I'm glad that my stab in the dark was close. So that was awesome. But yeah, it's again, I mean, 5,000 calories of peanut butter is probably not conducive to anybody's goal. I wouldn't even recommend that.
You don't know my life.
Yeah, there's probably not. I mean, and it's easy to overconsume peanut butter. You look at the serving size on that too.
One tablespoon, and one thing I used to do all the time was just dip a spoon in the peanut butter jar. But when I'm dipping my spoon in the peanut butter jar, it's not a tablespoon. I'm not getting one serving. I'm getting about 5.5 at least.
Yeah. Yeah. And I used to sit down and I used to put it on a cracker and I'd eat that. And I'd eat, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 crackers with at least a tablespoon or more of peanut butter on each one.
So you're getting close to those numbers.
Boom.
Yeah, bro, straight up. Straight up. That's like 500 grams of fat.
Yeah, it was a lot of it was a lot of calories for sure, especially at 10 p.m. right before you go to bed. That's a great idea. The best time to do it too. If you're going to be dumb, be real stupid. So this was before I knew any better. But
Logan's got a big helmet.
Life with bubble guts.
Yeah. No joke. Yeah, having a game plan is super helpful. It was much harder than usual this past week and a half, just because we were on the go so much. And usually there's a little bit of chill.
Traveling is hard.
Not easy.
No, it's not. And we went to Belize. Oh, we haven't been on here since then, I don't think. That was a blast. If anyone has a desire to go to that country, I highly encourage it. But I had my whoop on the whole time. Could see what was going on internally. I stopped seeing after the second day on purpose because I refused to look at it after I've been drinking. I haven't had a drink of alcohol since NFR. So it's been 6 months since I've had any kind of booze. I'm not going to not have drinks with some of my best friends, right? Like I'm going to enjoy the moment, enjoy the time and have some beers and have some drinks. But even the first night, I got way too drunk. But the second night, I was like, I'm going to be good. I only had 2 beers that evening with dinner, and my recovery was still so jacked up just off of 2 beers that it's like, it kills you, man. Booze is so not a helper when it comes to recovery, and it's so hard to stay away from it. And there are going to be times where, yes, go have the beers. But guys, girls, if you're out there and you're rodeoing hard and your goal is to make the NFR, you got to know that's not going to help you. It just won't. It's your body is going to be stressed out more. And so you have to
especially
be aware
over the
of
long
times
term
you do that.
of the
yes, man. That's the thing. It's over and over and over.
Starting right now, guys are at Reno. And so if you just have a beer to, 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week after you're done riding from now until September, you're not even going to be remotely close to the same person or the person that you could be, the athlete that you could be at the end of September. If you sprinkled that out, like everybody used to make fun of Tim because he would only drink nights where he didn't ride the next day. Yeah. So he had a day, and everybody was like, "Oh, blah blah blah, goody two shoes Tim over here," blah, blah. And he probably didn't really. Maybe somebody had told him, or he probably didn't really have a scientific reason necessarily for it at that point in time, other than like it was just one of his principles. And turns out, like that's actually probably from a scientific standpoint, a really good approach.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having a beer every night or even one beer within 6 hours of bed, it's going to tank your deep sleep. Deep sleep is when you're going to produce growth hormone. Growth hormone is what's going to repair tissues, muscles, ligaments, tendons. That's all the stuff that is you are going to need to be as healthy as possible to get through the season. So one beer within 6 hours of bed is going to cut down on the amount of healing and restoration that you get in sleep.
Yep.
If we do that 6 nights a week for 3 months, like, come on, dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm trying to be, it's not like we're trying to hate on drinking. Certainly, if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. Not what I'm doing. I'm just want you to be aware of the fact that, like, hey, it's definitely not gonna help you get to the NFR. In fact, those that make the NFR doing that get there in spite of the fact that they're not recovering. Imagine what could happen if you did recover.
Yeah, frequency matters when it comes to alcohol consumption, because like even like you said, even one drink, it acutely raises your heart rate, and you do that 6 nights a week. Now you have chronically raised heart rate, and that could almost double as a medical condition probably. There's all kinds of stuff that comes along with the lack of recovery that you're experiencing when you're even just a couple drinks. But if you're doing it often enough, big repercussions.
Yep. It will come back and get you. That's, again, just pick the good time and a place for it. If that's your goal is to make the finals. If your goal is to go to rodeos and have a good time and that's all you want to do, like, by all means, go have a good time. But
the repercussions, the last thing that I wanted to add is the repercussions never look like it was because of the alcohol, right? So that's the reason it's not a thing, is because nobody's like, I got hurt because I had a beer last night. Like, that's never the thing. That's just the injury that happens at the rodeo. The, like, you landed a little weird or whatever. It's just the straw that breaks the camel's back. Your body was breaking down for the last 2 months because of your lifestyle. And so then it was like, oh, well, that injury happened at the rodeo. Sure. That's where the straw was snapped, but it started breaking months ago when you started not recovering. And that was what led to it, so paying attention to that, like you said, like it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And hydration, I think, would be the biggest factor there.
Ooh.
You're probably already dehydrated throughout the day. You're not drinking enough water. You go your rodeo and you're sweating your butt off riding. Like, the first thing you put in your system is a cold beer. Like, hello, we're even further down the path of dehydration, and your tendons, muscles, all of that react on your hydration levels. And so, not saying that's a direct cause like you did, like, it's not a direct cause of something, but the compound effects of that over and over and over can be, and then an acute injury, coming off wrong or whatever, something you can't control happening, and all of a sudden you have a torn whatever, and you're out. It's like you said, Logan, you're like, oh, that's not because I drink beers every night and was dehydrated as shit and didn't recover well. That's because the horse bucked me off wrong. Well, would have loved to see what would have happened if you would have done it correctly and not had all the beers that night, those nights in a row. So just be smart about when you're having a good time. Realize that there is repercussions, like Logan said, to your lifestyle and what you're doing. It may not show up instantly. It will show up eventually, though. Speaking of, well, I'm switch the curve, or switch the channel here. I tweaked my knee. Switch the curve, man.
Oh.
The train track, flip it over.
Change the channel.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. See where you're going there.
See,
change the
you
channel.
Can't see what's in my head. Like, I was seeing that curve, and
thank the Lord I can't see what's in your head. I don't think we'd be friends.
No, HR would be calling me way too much. But I was doing some plyometrics, some bounding, stuff like that, and my dumb ass was doing it in the pasture. I knew better than this, but it was open. It was a good day, and the ground was, of course, nice and uneven. And so I didn't roll my ankle or anything when it was happening, or my knee. But when I got done, like 10 minutes later, I've tore my MCL in my right knee. Just a bad get off rodeoing at some point. I think you've probably been there, Logan, where you hit and that knee just goes out, and you hear that good old click.
Get-offs. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw them. He scared me many times. But I was walking around and just feeling this, it's getting twingy on me, kind of getting mad. And I instantly put on Power Pro and it instantly felt better. So I've been kind of nursing this thing back, doing banded knee extension, just some isometric holds to get those muscles to fire back off. But I haven't strained anything in a long time working out and kind of been like, oh, what the hell did I do? So it was it's like it for trying to be an athlete.
That's what you.
Yeah, you are at the age now. You do have to warm up before you do those types of things. You know that, right?
I was really warm. Really
Did
warm.
you see that? Did you guys see the thing I shared? There was like a whole carousel, and one of them that resonated the most was me was a Game Boy. It was like the original Game Boy. And it was like,
Yeah.
if you had one of these growing up, it's officially time for you to start
Yes.
warming up
Warm
before
up.
you work
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the warm up is very important. But those plyometrics and stuff too. I personally have not been doing very many of them over the years, periodically, but not consistently. And I've started back within the last month, and pretty consistently a couple times a week, doing a day focused on some, bounds and leaps, and
Mhm.
and it does, like, I've had to be very, very careful with the volume of those things.
Yep.
Otherwise, because I get done and, like, man, I'm like a little sore too, and so
Mhm.
I've been really, really careful with the amount of volume. It's crazy to think, like, the amount of force that you put on your knees on a back squat with
Mhm.
400 pounds on it versus the amount of force that you put moving at a high rate of speed, single leg in a sprint into the ground, absorbing and
Mhm.
producing force. It's crazy. It's like, I'm not gonna butcher the numbers here and sound like an idiot, but, like, it's more force on the knee and on the ankle and on the
Absolutely.
body than doing a back squat, a heavy,
Mhm.
heavy back squat for one rep.
Well, there's
And
yeah.
because you're moving at that high rate of speed and punching that those joints, the knee, the ankle, into the ground and absorbing it, producing it, boom, 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 in a sprint. And so it's definitely something that you need to be equipped for and prepared for. And the tendon stiffness and strength that comes from plyometrics is one of the reasons that I've implemented them. And I think
Mhm.
that they're phenomenal for athletes, even though they spend their time straddling a bull or a bucking horse. They might even not for calf ropers and goat tires. I think that being able to produce force against the ground, run maximally, jump, those kind of things are beneficial for all rodeo athletes. But there's a learning curve there. You know what I'm saying? Or at least there has been for me as somebody that hasn't done it. It's not
Everyone.
something I can just jump right into.
No one's gonna be able to
Literally,
jump
no
right
pun
into it. And
intended.
that yeah, that was actually a pretty good one. Uh you have to practice the fundamentals. You have to do it correctly, or you're not going to be getting the best results from it. And that's something, the plyometrics is something, when I'm not doing it right, I can feel the biggest difference. And it's usually when I rush into it and I try and go too fast,
Mhm.
and I'll like a 3-step into a vertical jump. And I think about it too much and then I mess myself up. If I just go with my body and go slow and I can actually feel my muscles engage and power develop, it's wild how much higher I will jump rather than the time before when I went like super fast and tried to basically spazzed out because I was trying to do too much.
Yeah.
I was talking with one of our athletes that was at OPA, the bull riding school. He's one of my athletes as well, but he was doing a jumping air squat yesterday. And I was like, he got down and like double clutched his arms before he like jumped and had to like rethink. And I literally told him, I said, dude, he wound up and loaded perfectly and then started thinking. And all of a sudden his body's freaking out. I'm like, you do that in your bull riding. That is 100% what
Yeah.
happens when you get on a bull is
Mhm.
you don't trust the fundamentals. You don't allow your body to do what it's trained to do. You're getting the thing in between the ears is getting in the way big time. It's like, just load it up like it's supposed to feel and go and do the thing that you know how to do. And of course, next set's great. And it's that simple, but you've got to have the proper fundamentals and foundations in place to trust.
Yep.
So get those in place if you're doing plyometrics. But dude, I was doing squats this morning and yeah, I was doing box squats because again, my knee's a little twinged, but I feel so much more explosive coming up. And I've been doing the plyos for three weeks. This will be my 4th week. So it's cool to see changes in my body at almost 35 years old. It's like getting more explosive, feeling more powerful. So
Yep.
I can't wait to see what that feels like when we get in the woods with a 50-pound, 100-pound pack on my back. Like it's going to help.
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It's going to help for sure. So I think that everyone should always kind of have that in their training if they're have an able body and are, can do it. I think you definitely should. Like my dad's 64, his wife she's probably 61, and they jump every week. Like we have
Yep.
box jumps, we have lateral shuffle, we have lateral bounds, like we have everything. And he'd never done any of that in his life. And he's like, dude, this is hard. Like, yeah, but the cool thing is we're going to practice this for a long time and you're going to see the changes each time you getting better. 64 years old, still getting better. That's the goal, dude. That's what we want,
Yeah. Yep, that's exactly right. Figuring out, because it's never perfect. We always, like, at least for me, I'm sure for a lot of people, we kind of go down those rabbit holes where we like get really into this mode of fitness, right? And so then we're just not a well-rounded athlete. And hopefully the goal is to just continue to grow in being well-rounded, but being able to look at yourself objectively and say, like, okay, I might look good, or I might feel good, but like, what piece of the puzzle am I missing? There's something in there. There's always something that we could incorporate, that we could learn about. And like this time around for me, it's been plyometrics has been something that I've been focusing on and learning how to do. And it makes it the biggest difference for me, has been, when you start resistance training, if you've never resistance trained before, a few weeks in, you probably get that you're like, oh my gosh, I just felt my scaps. I felt my shoulder blades for the first time. You start to get that mind muscle. The biggest thing for me and the plyometrics is learning how to punch the ground. You know what I'm saying? How to actually attack the ground with my foot, like in those bounds, and I'm not like allowing my foot to like just meet the ground. My foot is going to the ground in those things, and the difference that makes in not only the quality of the plyometrics, but then the results of the plyometrics and the benefits that you're able to get. And that's been like a really cool kind of like central nervous system adaptation for me, and learning how to do that and applying that through not only just whether it's pogos or whether it's, any kind of leaps or bounds, sprints, that kind of stuff. Man, it's made me wildly faster and better at all of those things. And so there's all kinds of adaptations that can come. It's not just the stuff that you can't see or can't feel. Sometimes when you're in the gym, you're like, is this even making a difference? There's a lot of stuff that comes, especially from plyometric training, that you're like, I see that. I feel that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I notice I'm getting better there, which is the goal, like you said.
Absolutely. We did our format backwards this time, so let's do our what's new in your guys' life.
There you go. Go completely backwards.
I like it.
Looks like Paul's been on the family train.
I
Paul's
have
been like every day there's been like some sort of family outing.
Well, we had we celebrated Ken's birthday this past weekend. His birthday's not until this upcoming week, but we do like adventures for birthdays. We started that a couple years ago. And so he wanted to go to the crystal mines and dig in the dirt for crystals, which was a blast. I'm actually holding one in my hand right now. And then we went to the alligator farm and got to hold alligators. So
that's awesome.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Dope.
Cool weekend.
How was Battleborn Bronx, Logan, the school that you did?
It was so good, man. It was really good. They had I went over there. I wasn't really sure what we were going to have, and we were kind of hard pressed to get some instructors to come help. And they had over 50 kids signed up, and so it was a little like, oh man, it was really tough to do, or tough like leading into it. But then the day got there, and Joe Harper came and taught the saddle bronc riding. Bronc Marriott, Lane McGee, he came for the bareback riding, and of course Cody Custer was there for the bull riding. So we had top notch quality instructors. And there was a lot of little kids. We had over those 50 kids, there was like maybe 11 of them that were over 12 years old. So there was a lot of like 6 and 7 and 8 year olds, which I thought was so cool. And so the morning we really like got everybody on the spur board. We were able to get them on the bucket machine a little bit in the morning time, and then we broke for lunch, and then they dismissed the younger kids, and we were able to keep the more quote unquote advanced or older kids around, which meant we had 2 bareback riders. There was like 4 or 5 saddle bronc riders and 1 bull rider. So we went from over 50 kids to this like super small, intimate group, and we spent the whole afternoon. They rode the spur board and the spur out horse till they couldn't ride it anymore because there was only just a handful of guys. And then before we dismissed for the day, I looked over there, and they're all just sitting. The bareback riders, Bronk and Lane, and the two bareback riders were just sitting around one of the tables, and they were talking about their entering strategy, and they were talking about like just all the stuff that you
That's
don't really
awesome.
get at a normal school. So those guys got a
Mhm.
bunch out of it. The one, and I'm gonna blank on his name like an idiot, but one of the bareback riders was Paul's client. What remind me
Caleb.
his name? Caleb. And man, that kid is a stud. I'm talking about going to be fantastic. He's like 15, and
yeah.
he's going to be fantastic. Paul's been working with him for a couple years. We had quite a few clients there. And so anyway, it was pretty, the Holloways were up there, which was just
I
crazy
love them, man.
to
They're
see.
great.
Yeah, they were up there. They're really big partners on that. And so they came to the school, and there was just, it was a great group of guys, great instructors. And it was such a cool camp for, yeah, it was just, man, it was a really, we built a bunch of spur boards. Note to self, 3/4 plywood isn't real handy on a bareback riding spur board that's going to have Bronc Marriott getting on it. You're definitely going to want something thicker, because like before lunch even,
Heavy gauge
he
steel.
he put a hole through the mat and through the plywood on there. So yeah, that wasn't cool.
Those
Way to
But
go.
horses.
yeah, for sure. But at any rate, we built a bunch of spur boards for it, and we're able to just give them away to the kids that came.
That's
If they didn't
awesome.
have one and they could get it home, they could take it with them. So that was really cool. We were able to equip them. Darcy was great about like, hey, yeah, she, paid for the spur boards, and then she was like, let's just give them to the kids. I'm like, that's a great idea. So they were able to give them away, and everybody that came got a lot out of it. And last year they bucked horses there. This year we decided not to, because it's just one day and it's so hard to
Mhm.
cover everything that needs to be covered, even for those
Mhm.
guys that are already rodeoing. And I heard from a couple of the parents, they were like, man, my kids got way more out of it this year than they did last year. And so
Yeah.
that was just super cool to hear. And, having Cody there, I mean, that's what he does for a living, is top-notch bull riding schools, and be able to just
Mhm.
lean on his wisdom. And we all had a little powwow at the end of the day where we all got together and we talked about the importance of traveling partners. And we talked about like the importance of, strength training. Tosh was there, Natasha McCann, one of our coaches, and she was able to talk about, her side of things and the PT. But Cody was just such a, just a beacon of wisdom, for these kids to be able to listen to, like how he approaches things now. And I mean, he credits, I had a conversation with him, and he credits Paul for some of his new coaching
That's cool.
vocabulary. And he was like, man, going to OPA was really a game changer for me. This is Cody Custer, world champion bull rider that puts on bull riding schools for a living. And he was like, I came to OPA, had some conversations with Paul, and it changed my vocabulary. And that change in vocabulary, it's been so much easier to see the light bulb moments for my students. And so I thought that was just
Mhm.
really unique, that Cody is somebody that's very good at what he does, very established. He still wants to learn. He wants to
Mhm.
grow. Man, let me be like that. Like I hope that,
Mhm.
we're there at that age and well known and respected, and still desiring to seek out people that might be able to see the mountain from a different angle than us.
Mhm.
And so we can grow together. I thought that was great. So, and my long-winded answer to your question is that it was fantastic, and I cannot wait for next year. Already excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Big shout out to Darcy Hollingsworth. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Hollingsworth. She
yeah. We're
puts
gonna
on
go
that
with that.
school, puts on the event. Yeah. Darcy, you know who you are. Big shout out to her for putting that on. And I can't emphasize enough, with one day, you don't need to be bucking horses with beginners like that. You did that 100% the best way you could have, and they're going to walk away with so much more and so much more confidence going into whatever they go into after that. So good work, dude. That's cool. I love hearing that. And I love hearing how many young kids are there, man. That's what we need. We need these next generations getting into this. And speaking of OPA and Cody being there, if you guys need a bull riding school, check out Cody Custer. His bull riding schools are outstanding. But OPA for bareback and saddle bronc riders is open. Registration is open. The dates, November 7th through the 10th, will be in Huntsville, Texas. Will be at Cowboy Country, same as last year. Get registered. If you need the link for that, you can shoot us a message or just go to our Instagram. I have it pinned on my profile. You can go and check out the link and get registered and set up. But spots are filling up quickly, which I'm fired up about. So get on it.
We're over half full
Check it out.
already.
Yeah, which is wild. We've been open for a
half
week.
full already, and we just it's been open for like a week and a half or something like that. So
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy how fast it's filling up.
Yeah, get on it. And if you have any questions, like I said, we'd be happy to answer them. You guys got anything else to finish up? Somebody shut that baby up.
I don't think so.
Next episode, got a young and upcoming star. Lacey Shala will be on with us tomorrow or the next episode for you guys listening. I'm excited to catch up with him. He worked out with Paul in his younger days, and it's so funny to say his younger days. He's 18, so when he was 15, and I've been working with him a little bit.
A lot younger.
Yeah, but it's cool to see. We're going to hear about his evolution. Things that how we got into this and how he is where he is at the age he is at. He just won the first round of Reno with 88 points in the bareback riding, and rode his bull, and it's kids on fire. So anyone listening to this that is a young rodeo athlete or has aspirations of making the NFR, you're going to get to hear firsthand from a kid that is well on his way to doing that. And I can tell you right now, his preparation is different. It ain't he's leaps and bounds in his wisdom ahead of most kids his age. So I'm excited to have him on. And guys, until next time, we'll catch you later. Here's the deal. Lots of rodeo gear companies are coming out, but not all are equal. Beastmaster is really setting the bar when it comes to the equipment that is built for durability and designed for success in the arena. You guys can check them out at beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving24. That's ChampionLiving24. Going to save you a little bit at checkout. Hey guys, we got some exciting news for you. If you're listening to this, we know that you're committed to upping your game in the arena. And we're teaming up with the Rodeo Now app to help you do just that. The Rodeo Now app allows you to record, upload, and catalog your rides and runs, review your performances in slow motion, and our favorite feature, if you're not familiar with your stock draw, you can search your animal by name to get all the intel you need to make your next ride a winning one. Join the rodeo revolution today and download the Rodeo Now app for free. It's available in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. If you want to learn more about our coaches and program options, make sure to swing over to our website at www.championlivingfitness.com. You can fill out the Become an Athlete form to set up your free consultation and have all your questions answered by a coach.